Good evening, everyone. If you're joining us live on Facebook, if you're joining us live on YouTube, whatever means and mechanism you're using, welcome to the month of March. This is Women's History Month. This month's VAEN, I always mess that up, VAN's monthly meetup and discussion. We are discussing the woman I am becoming, right? This is Women's History Month. And we have a dynamic panel where we're just going to deep dive into some optional and wonderful questions that we will bring you. There are so many women that are struggling right now. They have lost their jobs and they are hungry to hear words of inspiration, of encouragement. And we are here, this dynamic panel, and we're here to help you. Today we have a panel, a wonderful panel for this the woman I am becoming discussion. And we have some excellent questions, but I'm going to allow the opportunity for everyone to introduce themselves and tell a little bit about themselves before we deep dive into these questions that we have. And hopefully these questions will encourage and inspire you to take the next step in becoming the woman that you are becoming. All right, I'm going to start with Carolina, could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, good evening to everyone. My name is Carolina. I am the owner and founder of the Strategy Shops. The slogan for my business is Your Story is Your Strategy. As mentioned, I think that all of us have our own lived experiences, our own things that we had to overcome, and the new facet of the version of us that we are currently, and then who we want to become moving forward. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Charmin. Charmin, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business? You're on mute.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm Charmin Prince. I am the executive director and founder of Eagles Empower to Soar, an organization that supports women. I'm also the creator of a self discovery program, which helps women to overcome trauma. And I am so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you here. We're next going to go to Peggy. Peggy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. My name's Peggy MacArthur. I am physically located in Los Angeles, California. I am global on the internet. I am the founder and vision holder of the Global Business Plaza. We're an ecosystem that helps businesses thrive. We have networking, we have business tools, we have workshops, all the things that businesses need to do to not feel like they're alone, to get feedback, to have community, and to grow and thrive in 2026 and beyond.
Great. Thank you. And next, we're going to go to Jasmine. Jasmine, tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you do?
Hi everyone, I'm Jasmine. I am an aspiring entrepreneur. I'm currently heavy in the community. I do a lot of community work. I provide quality food for families in need. Sorry, quality food for families in need, and it's great to be here. Oh, the name of my business is Boldly Unique Catering.
Thank you. And next, we're going to go to Casey. Casey, tell us about yourself and your business.
Thanks. Hey, everybody. My name is Casey Almeida, and I'm the Director of Operations at Power Pro Assistance. And I'm also a systems expert and one of the board members for VAN. And I'm remote, and so I am located out of Durant, Oklahoma.
Thank you, Casey. And last but not least, our very own Lavelle Lisa. Lavelle, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business. Okay, I'm not sure, Lavelle, if you can hear us, if you're muted or if you're frozen.
Did you ask me a question, Denise? Because I
Yes,
can't
I
hear.
did. Who are you? Tell us about
I
yourself and your
can't hear
business.
you.
Okay. So you are Lisa Lavelle, and I understand you are a flight attendant and you
Can you
have your
hear
own.
me?
Yes.
I cannot hear.
Okay. So we're going to skip along and I want to get into the first question. In the
Okay, you
meantime,
can hear me
hopefully,
now.
yes.
Okay, great. So my
Tell
name
us a
is
little bit about yourself.
um,
Okay.
I cannot hear you.
Okay. That's fine. We're going to move on and we're going to go to the first question that I have for this dynamic panel. And we don't want to, hold anything any longer, but we're going to go into the topic of identity and
Can
awareness.
you hear me? Because I cannot hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, yes. Okay. If you can't hear us, that's fine. We're going to move on. The first question I have for this panel is when you look back at who you were 5 years ago, what's the biggest difference between that woman and the woman you are today? Now, I'm going to pose this to the panel. Who would like to take that question on first? Because I think about 5 years ago, what I did 5 years ago to what I am doing right now. And I would have never fathomed where I am now and what I'm doing. I'm going to pose that question. Let's start with Charmin. Let's your take on that.
Thank you so much for that. Uh, 5 years ago, I was a woman who would rehearse a sentence 3 or 4 times in my head
Mm,
before speaking in a meeting. Today, I'm a woman who trusts my wisdom, trusts the essence that comes out of my mouth in real time. And the biggest difference isn't confidence, it's trust.
mhm.
Trust in my voice, that it has value, even if it's not perfectly polished and it's not the Queen's English.
I love that response. I love it. I can already see that. I okay. When you're dealing with your past, right? 5 years ago, and it's trust in what and in whom?
Trust in yourself. Now, I'm happy you asked that question. So let me go back into a little history. As
Yes.
a child, you were taught little girls must be seen and not heard. Now, when you're socialized in that environment, I don't care how much work you've done on yourself, that embedded foundational principle and belief system stays with you throughout your life. So when you're confident that what I'm about to say is real and it's true and it's the right answer for me, but then there is that voice. You should not be heard. You should be seen only.
Mm,
So it's struggling with that belief system and eliminating it and beginning to trust your wisdom, trust yourself. Because, I mean, your hearers may like it and not like it, but that's fine. But let it come out.
yes. Yes. I'm glad you said that. I see Peggy and I see Carolina. You're both, it's like I'm itching to get in. So, Peggy, I'm going to start with you. And then, Carolina, I'm going to go to you with that same question.
Yeah, you saw me, coach. Put me in. Put
Yes.
me in. Oh my goodness! If I don't even need to say anything after that. It's so true. We're conditioned to that we're less than that. We need to be quiet.
Mm,
Go get the food ready. Go get whatever, and not really powerful business women. Um, I've been a professional certified photographer for over 37 years, and I knew my talents and I knew my value in that. But during the pandemic, I got grounded. Couldn't have clients, and I started doing consulting, and I started working with other photographers running businesses. And I was very like, oh, I don't know that much, yeah, well, maybe try this. And then I realized, no, actually, I've ran a successful business for over 30 years. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I can see patterns, and I know, little things that will help you go better. And so the person that I am today and 5 years ago is just night and day. And it is that trust in my own voice, trust that what worked for me, I can help you. And that trust in my own self. When she said that, I probably wouldn't have said trust. I probably would have said really finding my voice. But when she said trust, I was like, that
That's it.
absolutely.
Carolina.
Yeah, I can definitely piggyback on both. I believe that the woman I was before was attaching her worth to what I was doing, not so much who I was at the core. And I think to Peggy's point, you know what you've done. But when you come into new places, when you have to pivot, which is what I needed to do as well when the whole pandemic and moving forward, in personal experiences and also business, going through grief, losing my mom that year, and then being pregnant at the same time. And like everything just felt like it was shaking. And what I know now is that I've gone through those things before. Like I've done hard things before. So trusting in myself and knowing that whatever is put in front of me, I'll figure it out. And I know that I have a strong foundation. I know that I'm not going to be led by fear, more so just being guided by the faith of I have things going for me and nothing could really shake me and bring me down.
Okay. I love that. You mentioned pivot. Pivot. A lot of times we have a hard time pivoting. And a lot of people, especially a lot of women, they've lost their jobs. They've lost their identity. They have to start a whole new career and have to shift. That's another one. Shift or pivot into another arena, right? How does one do that without losing your identity? How does one do that? How does one pick themselves up and almost reinvent themselves or start all over again? That's not a question that we have set, but I'm going to ask Casey, can you address that in some way? Because in many ways you have had to do that.
I definitely have, but it looked like had a insight on that. So I
She'll
would
go
love
right
to
after you.
hear her.
You go
Okay.
first, and I'll
So
jazz you on that same question.
yeah, I think it kind of speaks to what my answer would have been, is because I've had to pivot a lot and had to become very adaptable in every area of my life. And so the difference for me would be like I've gained clarity in learning how to like steward what is in front of me at the moment. So really just adapting, kind of like you have no choice. You can either really be upset about it or you can just move with it and see you kind of like let yourself be guided to what you're being shown. I would say that's probably how I've been able to adapt.
I love that. You said steward. Jasmine, how have you pivoted? How have you transformed? How have you had to reinvent yourself?
Oh, okay. So, we're speaking back from 5 years ago, which will make it 2021, right? So that would be like the tippy top of my chaotic life. Um, I had a drastic change in my life. In 2023, I lost my mom, and no one expected that. I didn't expect to lose my mom. She was the only thing that I had. I'm adopted, so family is a different meaning for me. And when I lost her, it felt like I lost every bit of what I thought was myself. I feel like, oh, sorry. When I lost my mother, the drastic changes that I had to do were tremendous. And I tell my children this all the time: don't wait until you're 30 to have to try to figure it out. It's not fun. I had to figure out that I had to do for me. I had to be the one to do it. If I didn't do it, it wasn't going to get done. No one was coming to save me. No one was coming to help me. No one was coming to tell me what it was, or what it was, when what it was, and when it was that I had to do it. So I focused my faith into God. That's my biggest transformation from 5 years ago. Um, I now lead by faith. Like everything that I do, I have to pray on it. God showed up in my life in ways that are difficult to even explain. And by the way, this is the first time I'm even able to open up about any of this. I haven't spoken about my mom in years. Um, So, talking about biggest transformation, that was a big transformation for me because once I found God, once I realized that that's who's supposed to lead me, things started falling into place. I started getting put into places, things that I wouldn't have thought of. Community work. I'm helping hand out food. I'm advocating for houseless families. My face is plastered all over the place, and I'm speaking, truths that I never expected that I would ever have to deal with. And I think that the most important thing for me was to learn to adapt to my environment, adapt to my new self, adapt to my new way of learning and understanding.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hope I answered the question. Sorry if I went off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're sharing your truth. You're sharing your experience. And that's what we're here for, right? That's what we're here to share. Because what you're going through, and I do wholeheartedly believe this, what you're going through or have been through is it's made to help somebody else. This very thing that you're sharing now, someone is watching right now, or they'll watch the replay and they'll like, I can identify with what Jasmine said. I can identify with what Casey said. I can identify with what Charmin said. I can identify with what Peggy said. I can identify with what Lavelle said. It's to help somebody else who might be going through the same thing and they need a word of encouragement. Lavelle, can you hear us now? Okay, we can't hear. I cannot hear you, but I'm so glad you can hear us. Um,
I'm um
ah, I can
I'm
hear you.
unmuted.
Yay!
I'm
Very good.
unmuted and I have my headphones. Hi ladies. Hi,
Very
hi,
good.
hi. Happy Friday.
So we want to get your opinion. This is the first question of the day. We're talking about identity and awareness. When you look back at your life from where you were 5 years ago, what's the biggest difference between that woman and the woman that you are right now today?
Wow. That question is very personal and it's a good question. So 5 years ago, I was actually recovering from COVID, coming out of the hospital, staying there for 1 month. And while I was in the hospital, the difference between then and now, or now and then, I heard the Holy Spirit. I heard the Lord speak to me. I heard that you will go out and speak to women. I heard the Lord say, you know what? When you come out of this, people will not recognize you because you're really going to be the mouthpiece of me. You're going to really become who I ordained you to be, who I wanted you to be, who God called you to be for purpose. Because prior to COVID, I was just being. I wasn't becoming. I was just being. So when we look at the word becoming, the first two letters is B. So I was just there and trying to figure it out. And now I'm not trying to figure it out. I'm just walking in purpose and trusting God all the way through. Because when we walk with purpose and don't look to the left or to the right, we'll know what is in front of us because we're not worrying about everyone else. And then when you look at the next word, coming, you're coming out of whatever you was in because you was just right there. I'm just gonna be. And when we're be, it sounds a little weird being, but the two letters just be. I'm just gonna be right here. I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna be this. No, we're coming into something and we're coming out. So once we come out to go in, God has us. So from then to now, I could say I'm very confident in understanding who I am becoming, who I will continue to become and evolve in the space that God has sent me.
Love it. I think of a scripture to say, "Come out from amongst them and be ye separate." Right. That's what I just thought about as you were talking, Lavelle.
Absolutely.
Interesting. Very interesting. Whew, I love this. We have to get into the next question. So I'm going to ask you all, and whoever wants to jump into this question, go for it. What mindset shift played the biggest role in your personal evolution? What mindset shift played the biggest role in your personal evolution? Because we all have to shift. I mentioned shift earlier. You have to shift, and you have to shift your mindset. Who would like to take that question on first?
I can take it on.
Go ahead.
Now, I was taught that getting an education is one of the most important thing in your life, and it's the gateway out of poverty.
Mm,
And so embracing that and getting the degrees and landing the job and having the career that you think that you identify with. But then when you lose that career, who is left? You have to find you. I had to find me. And I was teaching who are you without all of the external props.
mm,
And I was holding on to an identity attached to career and education. And I can say for 6 years, God stripped me.
mm,
And I fell in love with a person I never knew, the person without the degrees, the person without all of the exposure and all of the external things that I taught. And I usually say, I think I teach prophetic. I teach, then I have to experience for myself. And operating from that space without saying, I am the executive director, I'm the founder, I am all of the careers that we have embraced. But who are we without them? And usually when I'm asked to introduce myself, I like to introduce myself without them, because when they're not there, who are you?
mm.
And that is a major mindset shift that I had to embrace and become. I think Lavelle said that, become who I was meant to be without the external props. It was an evolution and a transformation that I wish on every woman that is listening to this discussion.
Yes. Yes. Lavelle, I want you to speak to that, the mind shift.
I love what she just said.
Yes.
Without the external props. When I heard you say that, what came to me is the now season, right? The now season, because without the titles, we're still trying to show up on social media, trying to fit in, trying to get in, trying to be something that God did not ordain us to be, because we're trying to play catch up. We're trying to um, say, okay, how can I level up here because she's here? How can I go higher because they're higher? How can I get here because they're higher? Oh, let me shift so I could look like them or do this or sound like them or be like them. But I love it when she said stripped. And then when we strip it, strip off of everything. Yeah, who are we? Without the title, without the, and I'm going to go there. Some people may not like it, without the external enhancements, without
Mm.
the enhancement. And uh, the BBLs, the lip enhancements, the this, the that, because now we're trying to fit in instead of being who we're supposed to be, right? If we're evolving, who are we evolving to be? If we have daughters, are
Mm.
we showing our daughters, our nieces, how to be like them, or who we are already? When we wake up, we are in our natural state. We're not going to be like them. We want to stay balanced. How about that? We need to have
Yeah.
a balance, because God will put us in a place where He will stretch us. And if think about a rubber band being stretched, just think about it.
Yeah.
And once we are stretched to capacity, what is left?
Mm.
Because we want to be like everybody else. I just want to be me. I just want to be who, and you may hear this often, because now I understand who I am in Christ. I know who I am. I know that scripture that says, Jeremiah 29 and 1, or no, I think it's Jeremiah 1 and 1. I knew you. I knew you in your mother's womb. You were formed. But then when we come out, now we're trying to form ourselves like everyone else.
That is
I hope that
powerful.
answered the question. I'm sorry.
That yes,
I might
that's
have
powerful.
went a little to the shift, but yes.
That is powerful. Carolina, would you like to add to that?
Yes, I think I resonate with the identity piece. I think
Mhm.
for me, is identity and surrender.
Mm.
So surrendering the old ways that were pushing me to do things the way I felt were the best ways, that got me in this hustle mode and looking for the things and just going at it. As being from New York, you're kind of just always on this grind, and learning that the scripture that kind of grounded me on that is, you know, you are the vine, I am the vine and you guys are the branches, right? So with me, you're everything, but without me, again, I'm probably just butchering the scripture. I think it's John 15:5. And it just speaks of that, right? It speaks about the pruning that's happening, because once you're working for man and you're not really working for what God is giving you to steward and to build and how He sees you worthy without anything, you really do start having to prune all these old ways of how you were functioning. And then you're left with only yourself. And
Mhm.
then He starts showing you the way, and you're like, everything is just flowing. So I don't even need to work as hard, right? Because I'm aligned. And that's when then He brings the what I call divine helpers and the communities that pour back into you, but then you also pour into them. And I think that's what makes life so fulfilled and so true. And what you're becoming is more like Him, because you're extending and moving with love more so than in a comparison, which I think is what Lavelle was trying to get at, is you're constantly then not enough if you're comparing yourself to what the world is. And again, those are all highlight reels. So I can take a 3-second clip and make my life look perfect and close that phone and be crying myself to sleep, right? So I think all of that is amazing to have perspective, especially when we're raising younger kids, because unfortunately it's only going to get more of that as it comes. So having those boundaries around it for yourself, but then also for the communities that you're building, I think it's very important. So I think identity and surrender have been the two things for me.
Okay,
That's
I
good.
like that. Would anyone else like to speak on the shifting?
I would.
Sure.
Um,
Go ahead,
I
Casey.
would say like I'm really, really big on mindset shifts, and the stewardship is something I've really been called to this year.
Mhm.
I have not mastered it yet, but actively working on finding the balance of being more intentional with my energy instead of trying to do it all, because I feel like that rubber band being stretched to capacity in everything that I do, especially on a personal level. So really finding that balance, and as you can see, moving backgrounds and background noise by, trying to find that balance of home and work, has really where I've like gained that clarity recently of I always knew that I was called to both, and I always knew that my objective, everything I was always working to achieve, was entrepreneurship and to be in a workspace and to do something creative. Definitely not the direction I expected to go more operationally, because I come from a very creative background. um, but finding creative solutions for other business owners, kind of similar to Peggy, your background a little bit. I kind of got shifted into that business space out of the creative space. And so, really finding that balance and not trying to stretch myself so thin, but be fully intentional with where my focus is, like what's being given to me and what's in front of me.
Okay. I love that. You said the mind shift and you it's so much that I'm taking just from this, and this is just the second question. Um, there's so many things that I'm thinking about. For instance, you can't put old wine into new wineskin, right? And sometimes we want to do that. We want to take that self that we have invented into the new, and you can't. God wants to prune us all from that old stuff, that old things that keeps us stuck. We have to shifting our minds. And you said stewarding. We need to steward our time, our treasure, and our talents, right? But do we really do that? And if we are doing that, how are we becoming? How are we moving in that direction to become the new person that the Lord wants us to become? How we're shifting and moving in the right direction towards the goal, towards the mark as we go towards that mark.
Yeah, I
Peggy,
definitely agree with that,
yeah.
because I just have like this whole task list of what I've been called to do and just doing all of the things. But have I actually been showing up for that calling if I'm coming in completely burnout? So I totally take
And
something
when
from
you
that.
talked about that stretching of that rubber band, was that Carolina
It was
or LaBelle? I mean, I felt so stretched today, even before coming on here. I was like, I'm stretched, I'm about to burst. But you have to pull it all in, pray, and then go forward. Now, Peggy, would you like to add before we go into the next question? Or Jasmine, would you like to add?
I'm happy to add. I feel that I'm probably coming from a different place than most of you. I believe that the mindset and the mind shift is really important, and us really being authentic in who we are, and what I really believe that if we have a desire inside of us, we have every single thing we need already to fulfill that. We need to learn, we need to, get help, but we have everything we need. If we have that desire, we already are equipped to fulfill that. And so when you get in the mindset of, I already have it, I am enough.
Mhm.
What do I need to do to learn this or to make a connection with somebody, and to really allow yourself to be who you know you are, and just change that so you're not in a place where you feel like you have to, you're being controlled by, you know, a god or a man or anybody else, but you know what you have inside of you, and you move forward with that authentically. And I think that that's the mind shift that really moves people forward.
Now, I know I hear some feedback. I don't know why. I even hear myself. Jasmine, do you have something to add to that?
I can add just a little bit.
Sure.
Just speaking on the mindset shift. I had to go from understanding that someone was going to tell me what it was that, my path is or my career is or what I'm supposed to do or what I'm not supposed to do or how I'm supposed to do it to what do I want to do and what makes me happy. Because I find myself, trying to complete all these different tasks and lend the helping hand and be that person for everyone, and then it's like, well, what makes you happy, what makes me happy? So that mindset shift was going from um basically going off of what other people would want or need as opposed to what I would want or need.
Mm, mm. You said a mouthful right there. We have to learn, like Peggy was saying, learn how to be happy. You have everything you need. And instead of people telling you who you are, you have to find out who you are, right? Each and every one of us. We have to become who we are set to be. And before we get into the next segment, I just want to bring to everybody's attention, scrolling across the screen is the tickler for tonight. If you want to speak to these dynamic speakers, if you want to get some of their resources, you can go to the Launchpad founding member link below and find out more. Okay, use that tickler, use that membership login below, and you will be have access to the Becoming Founders member of They In. Okay, and also their resources. Each one on this panel has offered resources for you all so that you can grow with us and you can learn from us. Okay, we're going to go into the next segment. And this question I'm going to share. This has to do with honoring women before us, Women's History tie-ins for this month, right? This is Women's History Month, and there's so many women that have become before us and have taught us so much, and we have learned from them. And this is the question: was there a woman, personally or historically, who influenced the way you showed up today? And if so, what did she model for you? What did she model? Think about it. A woman personally or in history? Who wants to take on that question first? Take your time.
Denise,
Think
I'll
about it.
go first. Um, so for me, I can't speak to one person.
Mm,
I literally can't, because then I feel like I'm dishonoring, I'm leaving
another.
someone out, right? So I'm going to speak to both of my grandmothers, my mom and my dad's mom, my aunt, who's still very present in my life, and my mom, right?
Yeah.
I watched my mom have me at age 19, take me to my I'm sorry, yeah, my grandmother's sister, which is my aunt's house. So I would stay there during the week in Brooklyn, Monday through Friday, and come back home Saturday and Sunday. And she would take care of me. And then I watched my grandmother work 3 jobs and take care of me, my cousin, and my mom and her sister, my aunt. And then I watched her, just watched her effortlessly work, 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 work. Out of 6 siblings, she was the only one who purchased a home in Queens. Only person. And then I watched her, both of her legs be amputated, and she still kept going. Still kept going. And then my grandmother, that just recently passed away, maybe 2.5 years ago, I watched her with MS, never taken a pill or a medication or anything. And she worked in a city and went to work every single day and drove to work. And then my mom, she just wouldn't stop until I could have the majority of what I needed. And last but not least, my aunt who's still living, my dad's sister. She's so influential in my life. She's what is Charmaine, I think her name is, how we say about all of these titles. She has so many titles, so many titles, but she's such a go-getter and she's very influential. And she always reminds me, um, Yavelle, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, but not keep going to burn yourself out, but keep going to get what you want. Keep going to know who you are, so when you are finished and it's time to retire, you could sit back and be proud. So, all four of those women I could look at, and they were very influential in my life. So, that's what I want to share. Thank you.
I'm glad you said that. I know for a lot of women, it's usually their mom or grandmother that was the first, or aunt, and or a combination of all three or four or five or six that were influential in their lives. Anyone else has something that they want to add? Because I'm just thinking as you speak, Lavelle, I'm thinking about my mom, and my aunt who's still alive. And I'm hearing the word perseverance. Perseverance. Charmin, would you like to speak to that?
The the only person that I can honor is my mother,
Mm,
who was a single parent and raised six of us. And the resilience that I have seen, I've experienced watching her, learning from her how important it is to find balance. And it is not something that I take lightly, because despite us being a single parent, having a full time job, she stressed the importance of balance. And I met someone who created, let's say, a philosophy called the novice, where you live in the moment. And I said, well, at least now I have a term to assign to who my mom was, because my mom stressed the importance of now, being present,
mm.
and grasping this moment. And it's way into my 50s, I realized the importance of that: resilience, balance, and grasping the moment. So I honor my mom, who is going to be 92 in August, and she's still with us.
Amen.
What a blessing. What a blessing. Peggy, who is that person or persons?
My mom was not that person for me. Not my mom pointed to south in my compass. So you know, her influence on me was do the opposite and I'll be closer. I'll be closer. But I did have a grandmother that did instill, love, and did instill, hard work. And, she raised four boys on a farm, in the Depression era. And, just all the, the work ethics and family love and care, I think I probably got from her, from my dad's mom. Yeah.
So that's okay. So your grandmother.
Yeah.
See how it all seems to go around mom, grandma, aunt. Casey, who was that person in your life?
I'll definitely stick with the trend. It's definitely my mom. She planted the belief in me early that you can build a life around what you love, even if it doesn't look traditional. So there's a quote that I've always carried with me. She always said, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I took that about as seriously as anybody could at a young age. And I grew up in a blended family, so that shaped how I see life. Now navigating that blended family in my own adult life, I've learned that it doesn't always look perfect or stable. And it doesn't mean that it's not meaningful or like worth building. It's just like that's what I carried into how I approached my work as well. Because I've always had a desire to build something around what I love. And now I'm learning how to create stability within that while also showing up at home. So going back to kind of finding that balance, and it all connects because it's about building a life that works for you, even if it looks different or untraditional.
Thank you for sharing. I know Jazzy wanted to comment, but she's had to step away. Carolina, would you like to chime in on that one? Who's your person?
Yeah, I think there's not one person. I think I can look at facets of what influenced me and also what I saw that I didn't want. And I
Ah,
think that's just as important, because we can still admire people for what they showed at the way that they had the tools, that they were able to use. But you're also, I think to Peggy's point earlier, I am that person for myself because I'm
mm,
seeing who I used to be and I'm looking at what I want to accomplish. And you can kind of be your own motivation, right? And then kind of just then being an influence, hopefully, for someone that may be, at a crossing roads that you can, but no, we're never going to be right. And I think that there's not one person that for me was the top tier. Like I see it and it's perfect. I think I can take from both ends. Um,
okay.
so yeah, I think again, obviously, like my mom would be one, but I can see on both ends how there were things that I would change.
Okay. All
Hmm.
right. And that's great.
Yeah,
That's even great because it teaches us what we want or who we want to become
yeah,
based upon somebody else or based upon what we have been around or exposed to,
yeah.
right? Jasmine, I understand you're still here. Would you like to chime in if we can hear you?
I can try. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So I just wanted to talk. I wanted to touch a little bit on someone who I apologize. You have to repeat the question so I can like rezone in.
Yes, so we were talking about what woman in history or personal influenced you to become the woman that you are now, basically.
Influence. That's the word.
Mhm.
Influenced. Okay, so of course, growing up, my mom influenced me in more ways than one. She's taught me. She raised me. She showed me everything that I knew. But one person that stood out, well, that influenced me tremendously was one of my good friends. She, I was going through a situation that was like pretty drastic, and my back was against the wall, and I was ready to give up. Um, I remember praying to God in the moment of all of this happening, and I begged Him to send me someone or send an angel to protect me. And I really do truly wholeheartedly believe that it was her that he sent. He sensed my downfall, or I don't want to say it like that. Like he knew that I was going downhill and I needed somebody, and she came. Um, uh, okay, how? I'm sorry, I'm trying. She influenced me to believe in myself and to stand in my truth and to be okay with being me.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of the times, I focused on, how people perceived me, or like what I can do to be better, or how can I be a good person. And she made me understand that it's okay to just be me. So I would say that she influenced me in my life recently. I want to say a lot of changes has happened in the last couple of years. So these
Yeah.
are like big things for me.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. There's so much for us to learn from and to gather from women that have influenced us. Um, I think about um, I think about certain stories that I've heard in the past, from some historical women figures, as well as our personal women in our lives, whether it was a school teacher. I'll never forget Mrs. Richardson when I was in fourth grade in Alkaloo Elementary School in South Carolina. I'll never forget her. She was a very particular woman, very sweet and kind. And she always encouraged, right? But if you got on her bad side or you did something you weren't supposed to do, she raised up and she would correct you. She always left an impression on me. And that was fourth grade. I'm now in the stage, but I still remember that particular teacher, and how she influenced me on so many different levels on how to treat people and how to be respectful, and to also not only to give respect but to get respect. That's what I would like to say. So there's so many, it could be a school teacher, it could be your mom, grandmother, whoever it is, but there are definitely women throughout our lifetime that have played some form of a role to us. And I want to go into the next question because we're getting closer to the end of our hour. What did you have to release in order to step into the woman you are becoming now? What did you have to release? Sometimes we have to release our past hurts. Uh, what is it in your life? I'm going to pose that. Who wants to take that on first? Who wants to release something? What is it that you have to release? And you have to release it into the woman you are becoming now. Casey?
Yeah, I would say the pressure to follow a timeline or a
Mm,
path that made sense to everyone else. I had to let go of that and trust that my journey could look different and still be right for me. So kind of, I never really cared about what other people thought or the influence of other people. I was never a very influential person. But letting go of that, it needed to fit a timeline to be success.
mm. Okay. I'm going to pose that question to Lavelle.
Whew. Um, letting letting go of just wanting to do everything, because I always believed that I needed to complete everything on time, have octopus arms, and just doing every single thing, and releasing the word yes and adapting to the word no. Like, no, I'm not doing it. No, no. And not accepting every invitation, because every invitation, I don't need to be there. And um, understanding that my time is my time. I didn't understand that. I'll share something with you really quick. My daughter said to me last month, she said, "Mom, one thing I remember about you growing up was you never sat down. You was always moving. You was always doing. You was always, always, always." And that hit home because I found myself doing. And I have learned how to say no. I've learned how to release. Um, just being. How about that? Just being. Just being. Learning how to sit down and put my feet up. Learning how to release all of those little things that we think we need to show up for all the time. Something Casey just said. She said, she wasn't really influential, but her time. And that's what I'm taking back, my time. And if it really, really means something to me, I'm showing up. If it doesn't, if I could send a card, if I could send a cash app, thank you for the invitation, but no, I can't be there. And if they are upset with that, I'm okay and I want them to be okay. So not showing up on every scene, So I'm releasing that. No, the word is no.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
have a T-shirt that says "No is a complete sentence,"
Complete sense.
and I had to learn that because
Hmm.
I was the yes girl. Whatever you need, yes, I'll do it.
Yep.
But I have learned. Peggy and then Charmin.
Okay, so boy, did you hit a nerve there. Um, a year ago, I was in a workshop, and they were talking about boundaries. And the lady running it says, who has problems with boundaries? And I sarcastically said, well, not me. And another woman in here in the room that knew me really well, without even taking a breath, Dr. Karen Moore goes, "That's because you don't have any boundaries." Ouch. But you know what? I'm 55 years old and didn't know how to use the word no. And that really stuck with me. And last year was just a whole year of recalibration anyway. But I think the thing that I had to release was that not just that it's okay to say no, but it's okay for me to say yes to myself, even if that means no to something else. And saying yes to myself was actually the thing I had a hard time doing. It wasn't saying no. I would say no and then do something else for someone else.
Yeah.
But to say no and say yes to me was what I had to figure out, that was okay. That if I wanted to say yes to myself, I can and I should. And so when you said that, you saw me, I about jumped out of my seat, because it's so true. And a lot of heart-centered business people, soul-led business people have that problem because we're conditioned that we have to do everything for
Yeah.
everyone. And I ran a full-time photography studio and raised children by myself. And I didn't miss kids' school things. I was on the PTA. I did everything and also ran my own business. And you just got used to being up at 11, 12 o'clock at night editing photos and doing all the other things. um, and and that becomes this cycle that you forget that, oh my gosh, I don't know what I don't know, what does that look like? So releasing the thought that I couldn't enjoy my own life just simply because I liked it.
Mm. Charmin, I'm gonna let you take the next spot.
Let go of scarcity. And when I say scarcity,
Ooh.
it's not lack. It's not it has nothing to do with wealth or poverty. Believing that your success causes my success to be less. That competitive nature, that as women we have to compete, and your light cannot dim mine.
Yes.
Understanding that if we both stand on a stage and I will allow our lights to shine, we will illuminate all the darkness around us. I don't have to increase the intensity of my light to stand next to you. And that, even talking about it right now, um, really rips at my heart, because somehow or the other, even if it was not learned behavior, it was taught. I don't know, somehow that competition is important for us, and it's competition that gets us to the top of the ladder. So understanding that I don't have to be a competitor. I can become a student of the women around me.
That's good.
I Yes. Say it, Lavelle. That
That's
was
good.
good. That
That's
was
almost like drop the mic, baby.
boom. Because that's it.
It's true.
That is absolutely it. Who are we competing against? Right? We're not supposed to be confront and I really do believe that we're taught that from a very young age to compete. What for? For what prize? It's like they dangle this carrot in front of you, right? To you have to get that goal, and whoever you have to knock over or knock down or beat up to get that thing,
Mhm.
that's what we strive to do that. I've seen that, and it's unfortunate in a lot of sports and a lot of our children when they're kids, and a lot of parents, they project this onto their children, right? When they're in the sports field, whether it's playing basketball or baseball or hockey, whatever it is, and the parents are yelling and screaming just to intimidate the opposite players or the competition. I mean, the mindset
Yes.
shift, got to shift that mindset. The mindset of the parents, they project this onto their children. And you said, "Oh, drop the mic." That was it. That was it. We are at the 8 o'clock hour, and we still have two more questions. And I don't know if we have that time to do that. I have to speak to our Madam President if it's okay. I do want to get to one more question. I think we're gonna can't get all the questions in, but I want to close with one more question, if that's okay with you all. The last question is, if you could declare something over your next chapter in your life, what would that be? If you could declare something over your life, what would that be? Think about it.
I love, the song Unstoppable.
Mm, how does it go? Who's that by? I'm unstoppable. Is that it?
Kareen
Corinne
Hawthorne.
Hawthorne.
Kareen
Corinne.
Hawthorne.
Mm-hmm.
And for my next chapter, my
Uh-huh.
word is unstoppable.
Mm,
Not in the sense that I won't fall,
mm,
I won't fail, I won't have traumatic experiences, but in the sense that the trauma, the failure, the pain will no longer be full stops for me as it was in the past. It will be commas. Just for a pause, it's a rest stop.
mm.
So I'm singing, I'm unstoppable all the way through.
I'm unstoppable. All right. Carolina, I see that smile on your face.
Oh, the smile never leaves. So I think my word is empty. Like I don't want to be sitting on anything that I want to do. I want to just empty out my creativity. I want to empty out the things that I know that I want to do and not overthink them or plan them too much. I just want to be free and give myself the permission to
Mm,
just be for who I want to become and continuously evolving that person. Because I think that's always going to be a moving forward, right? You become who we want to become. That may happen in next month or in 6 months. And then you're reinventing again. So yeah, I just think I want to just continuously just empty out everything that I want in me and live free.
mm. Okay. Casey?
Um, that I'm going to fulfill both of my callings without sacrificing either.
Mm.
Think.
Peggy?
I think I'm still learning what I want to declare. I think that's the point. the woman that I'm becoming hasn't fully revealed herself to me yet. And I think that's the point.
Jasmine.
I declare peace over my life so that I am able to discern what my purpose is and move by God's faith only.
Lavelle.
Man, it's a good question, but I the word for me is uh, I always probably go over the deep end because it's always gonna be more than one.
Mm.
But I'm going to always live in an abundance, right? And not abundance of money, but not only money, but abundance of love, abundance of peace, abundance of um, allowing myself to be okay, allowing myself to take time with me, allowing myself to give myself grace,
Mm.
abundance, being aligned with the abundance. And abundance does not have to be money. It really does not. You could have the abundance of belief. You could have the abundance of health and wealth. You could have the abundance of um, being free in your life in areas where you think there's no freedom. The abundance.
Abundance, freedom, unstoppable, unmovable,
Mm-hmm.
grace, excellence.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And I truly enjoyed this panel. And I hope those women and those men that are out there who have heard each and every voice on this panel, who have experienced this, they can too take away their becoming the woman that God has called them to be. They're becoming that person that they are called to become in their lives and to move and operate in everything they do. Becoming the woman I am becoming on VN. Listen, if you look at the tickler on the bottom of your screen, this is to join the founders member of VAN. Please go to it. And also, there are resources for each and every one of them, of our panelists and their particular businesses. You can go and get all the information and learn more about each and every person on this panel and their particular business. It has been a pleasure. It has been a pleasure to host this month. This is Women's History Month. There is so much for us to grasp and to learn from one another. Let's learn how to love one another genuinely, no matter what facet, race, religion. Let's love one another and be, right? Be unstoppable, be unmovable, be who you're called to be. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you next month for VAN's monthly panel discussion. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Good
Thank
night,
you.
everyone.
Thank you, ladies. Good
Bye,
night.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you. Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Good night.
Oh, everybody left so quickly. I was called. I wanted to say thank you to everybody.
Did you tell everyone to stay on after you ended?